All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us, for the third episode of the Sideman Song Swap Podcast. My guest today is Aaron Copeland. He's going to be joining me this Wednesday. That's March 3rd at Magnolia Motor Lounge. So join us if you're in the area. Everybody welcome Aaron. And if you would, man, I know we met years ago, but tell everybody just how you got your start in music and your kind of journey that brought you to where you are today.
Well, it's pretty simple. It started at early age like everybody else did. Mine's a little different though. I grew up playing like VFW halls and stuff like that. And from then it just kind of grew. After high school, I started playing in a local band, and that's where you and I met, at a big rodeo arena outside of Waxahachie, Texas. I believe I was with a band called the Kyle Hunt Band. And anyways, we opened up for you guys, the band that you were in at the time. And from then, I played with those guys a few years and then landed a spot with Casey Donahue. And I toured with him for 6.5 years, almost 7, and wrote a couple number one hits here in Texas with him. And here we are, own band, traveling the roads and hitting different states and putting out records.
Nice. I don't think I realized that your time with Casey was that long, or that you had written songs with them.
Yeah.
How many songs, and what kind of the ins and outs of that?
Well, I've written around 7 with him, 4 being chart toppers here in Texas. But yeah, his last record, he pulled up an old song that we had wrote and ended up cutting it. I tell you what, it's really cool to walk out, check your mail, and have some money in there. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Man, I'm slowly working my way to there. I hadn't had anyone else cut any of my songs until back in December. And
didn't Pat just cut one of yours?
Yeah, he got actually 2 of mine on his most recent record. That
nice.
I wish I could tell you when that was going to come out, but they said they're not going to put it out till we can tour. So that may be.
And that's kind of my situation with our new record. You know, I've been recording it for a year in Nashville, and it's almost done. But you can't really tour on a new record. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. And if you put it out
now, we don't make money
right
off downloads.
Yeah. Indeed. So, man, were you writing songs way back in the day, doing your own stuff in the VFW halls, or was that just kind of,
Well, I started playing music at an early age. I never really got into the songwriting deal until I was about 15.
Gotcha.
And I actually cut one of those songs on our first EP. Obviously I changed it up quite a bit because it's very elementary wording wise, but I got into it about 15 years old, man. And then, you kind of lose interest whenever you start hitting the road and you're a sideman. You work on your craft of whatever instrument that you're playing. And then got back into it whenever I started touring with Donahue. And dude, one of my favorite songwriters, that guy just spits out lyrics like crazy, man. I know he's got all those party songs that are fun and stuff, but that guy can write a song, man. Nice. And so I kind of learned a lot from him. And then, obviously going to these songwriting clinics and stuff like that. And now I've been in Nashville writing with the big wigs now, and really learned a lot from those guys too. So I take pride in it, man. I try to own the craft as much as, me playing a guitar or me sitting down a piano. I want to be equally good at all of it.
Definitely. So you've been doing a lot of the kind of like 3-hour writing room type deals.
Oh yeah.
How do you like those?
Yeah, and we'll set up like co-writes and stuff like that. So, I'll never move to Nashville, obviously, but we do a lot of work out of there. A lot of Texas guys, 90% of them that are touring work out of Nashville. I mean, there's a reason why they call it Music City.
I've got very limited experience with that kind of writing, but the few times I've been out there, I've had every side of like an amazing write and then a write where I'm like, if I never see that person again, that might be a good thing. How much that ranges, and it's so much.
Dude, yeah, that's the crazy thing about it is like you gel with certain people, and then certain people you just like, yeah, I can't write a song with you, man. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
Definitely, and it's so funny because they might be extremely talented and like aware of some of their stuff, and they're like, wow, I can't wait to write with this person. You just don't.
Yeah, you don't see eye to eye, which is not a bad thing. I mean, you know, you can still be friends and stuff, but when it artistically, your brains don't meet the same standard, and just nothing comes out. You're just wasting time then.
Definitely. man, that kind of reminded me of something. I got to play drums for Brian Keane for a while, and he gave me some of the best advice I had ever heard for those situations. He said, man, whatever you do, if you're going to go into write like that, just go wherever the room goes. And
Absolutely.
for me, if you start writing a song, you're like, this is a song for me. I'm writing something I'm going to do or put out. And in those situations, I'm so happy I walked into some of those writes with that mentality I wouldn't have otherwise. But, you go down a road you never would have thought of and ended up writing a great song, whether you want to do anything with it or not, doesn't matter. But, you walk out of there with something good. Whereas if you had resisted, you may not have gotten along with the person or come up with anything that mattered. And so I always like to share that piece of advice with any songwriters out there. If they don't,
and that guy is one of my favorite artists. Why he was never bigger than what he is beyond me. And I think he's just got that mentality, like I'm just going to be me. And I really connected with him when he played keys for Randy Rogers. Man, such a talent, dude. He's awesome. So how was that playing with him? Was it fun?
It was great, man, because he a lot of time he picked up bass towards the middle of it, so he was singing and playing bass, which was not his forte, but it was so much fun, and he had so much fun kind of putting down the guitar and picking up the bass. Just like, man, I'm literally connecting what you're doing to the guitar player, like the rhythm and the melody. I'm the middle ground, and that's so much fun. And I can't imagine doing that with also singing lead. It's going to be tough, but he also has Rachel by his side, which she's an amazing player, so that was always – she'd get up every once in a while and play with us. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm actually hoping to get Brian on one of these deals soon. I know he's been kind of busy and held up with other stuff going on lately, but definitely at the top of my list for dudes to get out to do this kind of thing.
Let me know, man. I'll try to be there.
Will do. Man, I'm super excited to have you out. I know we've known each other for years, and it's always been kind of from a distance, but I've always had a lot of respect for you and what you're doing, and definitely looking forward to hopefully hearing some of the new stuff on Tuesday. If you're gonna
I'll pull out some new songs, definitely, especially Magnolia Motor Lounge is one of our, I guess, stomping ground places, and we do, we're based out of Fort Worth, so we do well there, and it's really cool playing at Magnolia because it's really intimate. People actually listen to the music. It's not like a beer drinking honky tonk, you know what I mean? Which we're really good at playing those too, but it's really, I do love the listening rooms, and for me, I get more nervous playing the listening rooms than I do the honky tonks. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, totally, 100%. I've been to a few little like songwriter nights, at different places, and I can go out and play in front of a bunch of people. It doesn't bother me. I'll get in front of 30 people that are diligently paying attention, staring at you, and that's a totally different ballgame. I don't know how I can't explain that, but man, Mags, you're right. It's such an awesome place. Funny story about how I kind of came across it is I feel like any musicians in Texas have heard of it, but years ago we were playing the Fort Worth Rodeo. I think it was with Zane Williams actually. And our guitar player at the time, I think he was 24 years old or something. And bus was going to leave at like some weird hour of the night. And so everyone's like, oh, I'm going to sleep. And he was like, man, I want to go out. You want to go out and do something? I was like, sure. So we're supposed to go downtown to hit some bar that his friend was at. He was like, you know what? Never mind. Let's just go to Mags. You'll run into some people. He was like, dude, I don't live here. I'm not going to know anyone at this bar. He's like, trust me. Sure enough, we walk in and I knew like 12 people there. I was like, what the?
It's sense. It reminds me of like winners or losers in Nashville. You walk in there, you see all your buddies. You're like, what are you doing here?
Oh yeah.
It's kind of one of those places where the musicians go to hang out, and listen to music without getting bothered and actually enjoy yourself.
Yeah, it's always
pleasant. I'm excited, man. It's going to be fun.
Definitely. It's always pleasant and somewhat unexpected over there, but every time I walk in, I'm like, oh, it's good to see you, man. Very cool.
Yeah.
Man, so what else is new? I know everyone's having trouble with shows and whatnot right now.
Man. Yeah, I think it's lifting up slowly but surely, but, it's been really weird the last year or so, I tell you, I've really connected myself again with music. You kind of get burned out when you do it every day of your life. And so it was becoming a job, for me, and to be honest with you. And then, the COVID really opened my eyes up on how fortunate we are to get to do what we do for a living. And so really just been concentrating on writing and re-fell in love with what I was doing and, actually really cared. And it means something. It's more passionate now, you know what I mean? And so I think that's that's a lot to do with what you portray as a musician, as a songwriter. You got to love what you do, man. And the deal is, if you don't love what you do, then the people you're singing to, they're not going to love it either. Right. So it's just the passion about it. But yeah, so I mean, with the COVID and all this, not really much has been going on. Just take whatever show that we can get and just keep moving forward. Do the best we can without getting sick.
I think that's kind of a fun point too, and it's almost, there's a little bit of guilt in saying it, but there's a lot of good stuff that's come out of this situation. And like you said, if something makes you re-fall in love with music, it's hard to argue with that.
Right.
I think so many musicians now, especially whether it be writing, recording, or whatever, this has kind of granted them some time to do that. And while it's hard to get by without money coming in, that's obviously tough for everyone, but
right.
I've definitely done a lot of things musically that I wouldn't have done if it hadn't have happened. So, this song series is definitely one example of that. But yeah, I've recently kind of rekindled my love with playing and singing, where I'd gotten away from it for a while. So definitely thankful that's come around.
You know what I'm excited about? I'm excited to hear you play guitar and sing. I've only seen you play drums.
It's funny. A lot of people say that, like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, I rarely did, honestly. I used to play around New Braunfels here every once in a while, but
right.
Back then it was 3-hour wallpaper gigs where people engage or they don't. It doesn't really matter, but half the time you're just kind of like playing to nobody while people are doing their thing, which there's nothing wrong with that. But
right.
I've played a lot of shows recently where I've gotten to actually connect and have some sort of connection with the audience, and it's so much more different. I think that's why I got burned out on playing and singing, is I was kind of playing the wrong places and doing the wrong thing.
Right. It'll definitely kick you.
Definitely.
Yeah, it'll definitely kick you. But that's anywhere, man. That's how you get your start. People, you have to do those gigs because that's when you really concentrate on who you are, and as a player, as a singer and stuff like that, because we still do some of those gigs. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You need just background noise, but yeah, I don't think it'll be like that at Magnolia. It's gonna be a good time, dude.
No, man. This is only gonna be the second one because of everything that's been going on. This is only the second one at Mags, and even just the first one, I had a blast, and it's so much fun the crowd that they kind of cultivate there is also people that are into what's going on. It's definitely not
right.
Some other places that I'll let remain nameless, but they definitely cultivate that kind of culture that people are into the music and are going there to get involved in what's going on. And so definitely looking forward to that. Man, anything else exciting going on in your music world?
Man, not really. It's every day's exciting. You don't know what curveball is going to throw you next, but I just been writing and I get really excited whenever I have writing sessions and stuff like that. And this, I've never used Zoom before, but I know a lot of guys use Zoom to write during this pandemic, but we always use the FaceTime or stuff like that. And so I've got some really cool songs that we've written over the phone like this through all that. But
nice.
Man, just songwriting and I got a new single that's going to drop here in a few weeks, and that's about it, man. Just
nice. What's the name of the single?
Keep going with the flow. It's called "Loving on You." I wrote it with Trent Wellman, my producer, and basically it just talks about being out at a bar with your buddies and they're all partying and they want you to come hang out with them, but instead of doing that, it's basically saying I'd rather be loving on you instead. You know what I mean? It's kind of got a cool catch. It's a cool song, man. It's got a cool groove to it as well, and it's country.
Very nice.
There's no doubt about that.
Anything else from you?
There is no doubt that it's not country. So we had some good players play on it, man. Brian Pruitt played drums, Mike Johnson on steel guitar, and just a bunch of great players. I had Brooks and Dunn's guitar player play on it, and to watch those guys go to work, man, is amazing. I don't know, have you ever seen those cats do their thing?
No, I have not.
Dude, so it blew my mind because it's the first time I've ever recorded in Nashville. And so basically what they did is they sat around the control room, and we recorded at Soundstage was the name of the studio. A super nice studio. And, you know, I'm like a kid in a candy store, just like, holy shit, dude, that's Mike Johnson. He used to play with Daryl Singletary. Now he plays with Reba McEntire. That's awesome. You know, because I'm a musician too.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm getting all giddy. So Trent pulls out his phone. We have work tapes that we recorded on our phone through the voice memo or whatever. And so Trent plugs his phone in to the speakers, plays the work tape. All the guys, the session leader, made the charts for that song because they work in blocks. So it's like 3 hours. They'll go from 9 to 12, and then they'll take an hour lunch break, and then they'll go 1, 2, 3, and then they're done. They got to be done by 3 because they don't want to hit traffic. So it's 6 hours in one day. It's 3-hour block. So each block there's a session leader, and the session leader makes the charts. Anyways, Trent plugs in his phone, plays the work tape. The drummer's looking at the bass player, and he's like, "Oh yeah." And you know, fiddle player's talking to the steel player about parts and stuff like that. So they listen to the song one time, then they all go in, all at one time. By the way, it's not single recordings. And they all go in there, and the drummer starts grooving it. And we find the tempo. Then the bass player comes in. They kind of goof around with it for the craziest thing. It's like they're averaging maybe 20 minutes a song, 30 at the most.
It's crazy, man.
It blows my mind. I'm like, dude, you think you're good? No, these cats got it going on.
It's awesome, man.
It was really cool experience, man. And just to watch those guys work, it just kind of strive me to be a better player, you know?
Definitely. Studio work will definitely kind of drive that nerve.
Right. And I've only, you know, I've recorded on, when I was with Casey, I recorded on all the records that we put out. We did put out 3 records when I was with him, and I recorded on all of them. And, you know, it's not the same. You know, yeah, you have your band and it's good, but man, these cats are like, you know, they call them A players for a reason. You know what I mean? It's just like, wow, never hear the song before and just roll with it. It's like, I don't know how they do it, you know, because I guess,
and studio, I feel like the project, everyone is different or whatever, but that kind of efficiency and talent is just something amazing to see. And, you know, up until recently, I've thought anything I would record of mine, like, well, I'll play drums on it because I'm here and I know how to do it. But as I'm kind of looking forward to what I'm going to do this year, which I think I'm going to put some music out later in the year, which I haven't done in forever. And so I'm kind of excited about that. But for the first time, I'm like, maybe I won't play drums on it.
What's up? You don't want to be a Dave Grohl where you have to play drums on your own records?
I don't want to say not, but I don't know. I'd definitely be open to other things. I had never really thought about that until recently.
Well, I tell you, you're one of the best in the business. I wouldn't mind you playing on one of my records, bro.
No, anytime you need me, you let me know.
I might need you to front my band if you're as good as everybody says you are.
I wouldn't get too excited yet. We'll wait for Wednesday on that. That's the hard part about being a drummer and doing this too, is that a lot of times, you know, I'll play with somebody who's a lead player, and so I'll start playing something. They'll play leads all over my songs, and they'll come up to a solo in their song and look at me, and I'm like, nope, sorry,
bro. I can hum one for you.
You don't want that. Believe me, you don't want me to play lead on that.
You can pull the whole Jack Black. Beep, 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 beep.
I can whistle pretty good. We'll try that.
Dude, I sing, and I like to think that I'm a pretty decent singer, but I cannot whistle to save my life.
Yeah, man, dude. I think I've turned in you ever been part of one of those weekly songwriting deals?
What do you mean?
Like where you get a prompt every week and you have to turn in a song by the end of the next week?
Oh, yeah. I've done that a couple times.
Man, I have to tell any songwriters out there, that has been so amazingly helpful for me. I would highly recommend, you know, if you can't find one, you can start your own. But that is one of the only things that has kept me consistently writing at any point in time. If I just leave it to myself, I might write a song and then 2 months go by and I don't think about anything or can't write anything. But
right,
those groups have been amazing, and that just remind me of I just turn in work tapes. Some people do full blown demos they turn in, but I normally just do work tape on the phone. And if there's a lead part that just sticks in my head, I'll kind of whistle it. And that's where that kind of came from. But he was like, really? Cool.
So that's how you say that, you know, a lead part. That's how I write, dude. I like to have a structured, you know, hook musically, you know, so you have that melody in your head. And then, so I'm one of the weird guys, I think, because I was a musician before I was a songwriter. And so I've got to have structure before writing. You know what I mean? Like, I want this song to sound like this. Okay, and then we're going to write about this. So it's like putting two and two together. I've always been that way, though. And I write with some guys, and they're like, we don't do it like that. I'm like, I'm sorry. You know, I'll be the odd man, but that's just how I do it. And so it's really cool to write with people that's never done that before. And they're like, you know, it's kind of easier to already have structure, and you already know what, you know, how long, you know, this hook is going to be with your words and stuff like that. And so I'm a weird character, man. This is how I write. And like I said, I think it's because, you know, I focused on the music sides of things before becoming a singer-songwriter. You know what I mean?
Right. Man, I think I've definitely done both ways, but I never crossed my mind until a few years ago thinking about songwriting that way. It always seems like a blank canvas would be the easiest way to come up with something. But when you give yourself a few guidelines, be it structure of a song or subject matter, like those groups, you know, you get a prompt to write to. If you give yourself a little bit of a guideline, it's so much smoother. It flows. It comes out so much easier when you're going in a certain direction than just like, all right, write a song, go. If you have nothing to go off, it's kind of harder to just pull stuff out of the air.
Right.
I can definitely understand that coming from that side. I don't know if I have a side or what I do best, but
just try to get it done. That's my motto.
Definitely.
Like, sit down, like, all right, look, man, we're going to write a song today. I don't care if it takes 12 hours. We're going to write a song today. And I've been in those sessions, man. And the songs that come out, dude, you know, the 12-hour songs are usually, you know, from my experience, are not as good as the songs that it takes 45 minutes to write. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, they come in spurts. You know, it's really weird, but
definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, man.
I haven't figured out the system or how that works yet, but they definitely every song comes in its own weird, welcomed way.
Right. Dude, I've even written a whole entire song. It was off my last EP. It was our very first #1 here in Texas. It's called Here She Comes. And I wrote the entire first verse and the chorus in the shower. And I don't take very long showers. Awesome. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. And then I got a hold of, you know who Jamie Richards is? He's a Texas guy, great country artist. And I got with him and Steve Helms down here in Fort Worth, and we finished the rest of it in like 15 minutes.
It's amazing when it's like that. Cool. I wish you could just turn that on.
It's weird, man. It's weird. There's no on and off switch. It either comes or it don't, you know?
Definitely. Man, well, I'm excited to hear some of the new stuff and get to hang out finally after, I don't know how long it's been, but.
I think the last time we played together was in.
McKinney?
No, maybe. But I want to say that it was, what's that place in New Braunfels that has the downstairs and the upstairs, and you play like that upstairs?
That's right. It was called Conway's. I think they've got another name.
Yeah. But I want to say that was the last time I seen you because y'all had Josh Moore playing fiddle with you, and I toured with Josh Casey.
That's right.
And I want to say that was the last time I saw you guys, and that's been well over 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, that had to be maybe 4.
Way pre-COVID, bro.
Oh yeah,
way pre-COVID.
Yeah, remember Dova was there too?
Dova was playing bass for me then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
dude,
that was a crazy time.
Indeed.
You talk about a dude that's talented and just don't even care.
Oh, yeah.
I love him to death. He's one of my good friends, but he don't have a passion for it anymore. I've tried to get him to play with me several times. Like, dude, just jump back into it and let's roll, bro. And he's like, no, man, I'm good. I was like, okay, whatever.
We've texted a few times recently. I have a feeling I'm going to run into him pretty soon. But it's always good to see that dude.
Do me a favor. If you run into him, kick him right in the cods for me. So that's from AC.
We'll do that, and I'll back up 10 steps. That was from Aaron?
That's too funny, man. Well, I'm excited about the show coming up, brother. I really am.
It's going to be a fun one. Once again, just so everyone knows, it's coming up this Wednesday, March 3rd at Magnolia Motor Lounge. I think we're kicking things off at 9. We're going to have Carly Rogers sit in with us for a hot
She's going to pop in and sing a few songs. And I think you guys will like what she has to offer. And I think everybody watching is going to like what Kelton has to offer. And I'm just going to be the odd man out.
I don't know about all that, but best way to find out is come see it.
Absolutely.
So it's gonna be a blast. Looking forward to seeing everybody. We'll see y'all at Magnolia Motor Lounge this Wednesday, 9:00. See you there.